Welcome once again to the Solid Sports Gaming channel. You're watching the Solid Sports video blog. This is episode 149. Today's date is October 24th, 2020. Thank you for joining me. I'm Troy West. We got a lot of news today, so it should be an interesting blog today. World Series continues. Game 4 will be tonight. Dodgers take a pivotal 2-1 lead with an impressive win. Walker Buehler set the pace for the Dodgers and they went on to win the game. We'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. Also touch on ex-GM of the Astros, Jeff Lau. Just, what he's been saying, basically claiming his innocence. We'll touch on that. NBA news, we got some new coaches hires this week. The Indiana Pacers decided to go with Nate Jurgen, assistant to the Raptors under Nick Nurse. And the Pelicans go with an old school guy, Stan Van Gundy. So that's an interesting hire. We'll talk about that. Other NBA little nuggets as well this week. And NFL Week 7, where I give you all my picks. Big 5 games of the week, some big games. Some maybe in jeopardy of being played. We'll talk about that. Look back on the Thursday night game, Eagles able to edge by the Giants. And we'll just talk about the NFL as a whole. But we'll start with baseball. I always start with baseball just to get it out the way. Like I said, I personally don't know a lot of baseball fans, but I love baseball since I was a kid. But World Series, always a good time of year. Dodgers trying to finally get it done this time. They had a big win last night. Walker Buehler was magnificent on the mound, picked 6 innings, 10 strikeouts. Rays just looked out of sorts. Couldn't really get nothing going. The rookie hit another home run. It looks like it's Azalea, but I just can't pronounce the name right. But he's been lights out, adding to his rookie record for postseason home runs. So he's carried the Rays offense. But I was talking to one of my friends of mine. He's an older guy. He watched baseball since he was a kid. He don't understand the Rays and me either. How they pull their starters so soon. Like I said, I don't like it either. Like, I'm old school too. If your starters pitching well, leave him in there until he gets fatigued or gets, unless the lineup figures him out. I'll leave him in there. Excuse me. But that's how the Rays do. But they got them here, so not going to criticize so much. But the Dodgers look like a championship team last night. If they win tonight, Game 4 is tonight. Game 5 is tomorrow night. Then the off day Monday. Then Tuesday, Wednesday, if necessary, Game 6 or 7. Tonight, I don't know. I got the feeling Rays going to bounce back. Because like I said, I think this series is going to go long. I think it's going to go probably almost a 4-7 games, but I just think the Dodgers, I think probably after this game, I think the Dodgers will probably win at 6. That was my prediction. I had the Dodgers getting here the whole season long. Even before, like I said, before COVID, I made predictions. I thought the Yankees would be here though. That's the only difference. But the Dodgers, I thought their window was closing. Now it looks like it's open again, because it's just, honestly, it's not. I mean, it's still the same team that got to the World Series and the NLCS all these years in a row, but it's a little different feel to it. Dave Roberts pressing the right buttons. The young, Justin Turner, who hit the home run last night to get the Dodgers started. Added Mookie Betts. That's the big difference. He had an RBI last night. Cody Bellinger, Muncy. This whole team is just deep, and they could potentially add more during the off season. So the Dodgers look like they're not going nowhere. But the Padres are coming. You see how well they did in the short 60-game season. Like I said, I think the Dodgers are going to eventually win this series, but I think the Rays will make it interesting. I think they'll win tonight. And then I think the Dodgers will finish them off in 6. That's my prediction for now. But the Rays, like I said, I don't like the pitching methods, but they got here, the game go by analytics now. There's a lot of analytics. That's one thing in baseball that has changed in the last 50 years. people go directly with the analytics. The GMs are analytically sound, so it's gotten a raise here. You know, they has been consistent winners the last couple of years as well. They won 90 games last year, so I think they deserve to be here. But I just think the Dodgers are a little bit better. I think they finish them off at 6. That's my prediction. You know, the World Series will be over by the time I see you guys again on Thursday for next week's Thursday night game, which I will look up and see who it is. I think I remember who it is, but I'm not sure. If we have a Thursday night game, you know, things been going on with COVID with the NFL, but we'll get to the NFL a little later. Mr. Jeff Lau, I think I'm saying his last name right. Ex-GM of the Houston Astros. You know, the Astros with the sign scandal has been pretty much a year since this thing blew up. Back in 2017, their championship year, they were stealing signs electronically. Wind up beating the Dodgers in the World Series. That's why the Dodgers had so much animosity towards the Astros. The Astros almost got back there. I was saying to myself like, dang, you know, they was down 3-0. They pushed the Rays all the way to a Game 7. They lost Game 7, but if they would have made it through, oh man, like this series, honestly, I think it would have been good for baseball, because I think a lot of people would have paid more attention to the series, because just to root against the Astros, or just to see how it's interesting. The series would have just been more interesting, and I think more people will watch. I think a lot of people checked out once the Astros was eliminated. You still got the Dodgers fans. The Dodgers still a big market and everything, but I think if the Astros would have made it here, it would have made this series much more interesting. But anyway, he been in the news this week because I think he went on. I don't know if it's the New York Post, somewhere publicly. I don't know exactly, but audio basically could go probably look it up. Basically claiming his innocence, saying the evidence clearly showed that he didn't know what was going on. Basically, he deserved, he didn't get hired. Yeah, I think the suspicion get lifted series of World Series over him. The former manager, who might get the Tigers job. I just talked about him last week, and the former Red Sox manager, all of them get these suspicions about the end. It's been that they just had to serve the season, so he's getting looked at. So, but anyway, he just been saying, like I said, I don't. I didn't read the evidence, but basically the Commissioner Manfred came out and said, well, we got more evidence than we ain't released yet. I guess basically said that we got, evidence against him that he did know. At least that's the perception I had. He didn't say specifically what the evidence was, but he was saying like that's just a little snippet of the evidence. He got tons of evidence, which why he was suspended. It's just a bad situation. Now, see, I take this more seriously than say the steroid era. Like I said, I was thinking about this to myself. Like, steroid era, yeah, it was wrong. I think players probably should have never did steroids or whatever. But baseball enabled it, and I don't know, it just don't bother me that much. Yeah, I ain't gonna say it don't give you an advantage, because I was about to say, well, it don't really give you an advantage. It does, obviously, but at the same time, you still gotta go out there and play. I might be naive by saying this, to be honest with you. It just don't bother me. It just don't. I just can't really put a finger on it. Like say if one of my players, like Gary Sheffield. Gary Sheffield was my favorite player growing up. For example, he's been rumored that he done a little something. I don't look at him no different. I don't look at Barnes no different. I don't look at Roger Clemens no different. They just made this, Clemens in particular, just made himself so stupid because he lied about it. That's why when he was added about it, then his card was pulled. Rafael Palmeiro, that's why he's been pretty much put on the back burner. Sammy Sosa looks stupid right now to me. Well, lately. Well, not lately, but since, when they do come out and talk, but I don't look at them different as ball players. I just don't, and they just made themselves look bad because they basically try to lie and deny it. Should have having, he knows people out there, that might just want to, not even just to get back at you, they just want to, they get their little seconds of fame. That's with the world now. Everybody with a little second. And anybody can, if you do something and people pay attention to it, especially if you do it on social media, you could be sort of famous for a while. At least, people know who you are. That used to be the case back in when I was coming up. Now, you can, if you do something dumb enough or people pay attention to it, you can be a star for a little while. It might even get you, get you in the spotlight. Just like I read about the guy that's going to play Cleveland Brown on Family Guy. I'm a family, I like Family Guy. He was just a YouTube guy. Not saying that that's nothing, but you could get this. I guess it's other avenues. If somebody, either if the world paid attention to you, or it might be just be luck too. Because a lot of people do stuff all the time and nothing happens. But anyway, I kind of got sidetracked. But he, just like I said, just compared the steroid to this situation, I think this is blatantly cheap, as a team, and I think, that's why Dr. Astro, they did sort of struggle. They did just enough to make the playoffs, and they played pretty well. Even when they went down 3-0, like they're a talented team. Like I think this scandal, yes, it's gonna be a blackout or probably forever. But I think they're still a good baseball team. I think losing Justin Verlander, if maybe he was still there, maybe that would have got them over the hump. Well, they probably would have beat Tampa, let's be honest, if they had Verlander at his healthiest. But I just think he needs to be quiet. Like, about the suspension about to end anyway. Now, I think it's going to be harder for him to get a job. I think the managers, all you gotta do is just tell him don't do it. But with him, especially now if he's, lying about something, I think you just won't trust him as much. I think you could trust the manager before you can trust the GM. That's just me, in my personal opinion. Even though the GM is, they're out of sight, out of mind for the most part. But this guy, just don't like the vibe. I think he is probably thinking they don't got him, red-handed or whatever, so he's just very arrogant about it. So I think he needs to just chill out. He did this one interview. I think that's the only one he did, as far as I know. I just lay back and just let things play out. But with the Astros, what they did, he might probably get another job as well. But I think he needs to be quiet though. I think he do need to be quiet. So that's it for the MLB this week. Like I said, World Series continues tonight. Rays got to win or I think it's over, pretty much. I think they're not going to come back from 3-1 on the Dodgers. NBA news now. NBA season, of course, it's over. Lakers are the champs. It's been, 2 weeks almost. Off the court news, some coaching hires this week. The Pacers earlier this week hired Nate Jerkin. He's an assistant under the Toronto Raptors, Nick Nurse, so he got championship experience. Pacers decided to go with him. They say, his offense, they say he real knowledgeable on running the offense, so we'll see if that helped the Pacers out. Pacers, been a nice little decent team the last couple of years. Victor Oladipo was hurt, to start the year. When the bubble started back up, he was back, but Pacers flamed out in the first round. Actually got swept by the Miami Heat. I think they need one more guy to help out Oladipo. Even though Ty Warren was on fire, if he can improve his game and continue what he did, that's another score right there. Pacers will be an interesting team next year, and this makes it even more interesting. And the New Orleans Pelicans filled their spot with Stan Van Gundy, OG. I call him OG because he's been around a while. Used to coach the Magic, the Miami Heat. Of course, his brother is Jeff Van Gundy. Even though both of them have been doing TV for a while. Stan, I think it's going to be. I think this is interesting. The Pelicans are a young team. Pretty much other than Drew Holiday, it looks like they're going to try to keep him. He might be moved. I've been hearing rumors about that. And JJ Redick is sort of the older guy there, you know, he's still sort of kind of young. But the rest of those guys, Lonzo Ball, of course, Zion Williamson, Brad Ingram, who just won the Most Improved Player of the Year. Hart. So they got a nice little squad down there. They do good in the bubble. You know, they got to the bubble, sort of faded away. But Zion, can he come back healthy? Will he still be on limits with his minutes? But Stan is old school, so I'm guessing if the kid healthy, he's going to play him. But they got, like I said, they got the team just got to keep it together. And I think Stan could. I think Stan could get into these guys. How would they work ethic and everything. So this is an interesting hire. Sort of surprised just how the NBA is going now. Like I think it was like how the Pacers just hired Jerkin. I thought it would be more of a hire like that, sort of flashy. Or I thought Billy Donovan might have been a good fit there because he's still sort of connected with younger guys. But Stan, not a bad move. I like Stan Van Gundy. I think he's a decent coach. Van Gundy's period. Jeff was considered for the Rockets job, so we'll see if he gets that. Of course, he's the coach there anyway. But them staying in TV ain't like they faded away and didn't do anything. I think they still can be connected to today's game, and that's what everybody kind of worries about. I think that's sort of I don't want to say overrated, but it's something that I think people worry about a little bit too much. So that's so like I said, I think that's a good hire for the Pelicans. I don't think a lot of people think it. Some people push it back on it, not a lot, but just saying, well, you know, maybe he's a little out of tune, but he's still been staying around the game. So I think that's not that big of a deal. But like I said, the NBA season is going to be interesting. Speaking of the NBA season, the NBA draft has been announced will be November 18th, and it will be done remotely, digitally, virtually, I should say, is the word. That was announced, I think 2 days ago. Just like how the NFL did it, that's how the NBA is going to do it, which I'm not surprised. Minnesota got the first pick. They basically ain't decided on anybody yet. So that'll be interesting. That's only 3 weeks away. So, but then this was sort of, I wouldn't say surprising news, but and it's still not set in stone yet. But the NBA also been talking about starting the season by Christmas Day. But having a shortened season, like a 72-game season, 70 games instead of the 82. And I still think, they'll do it like how the NFL, the MLB did it. I think they'll still have, you play your home arena, but probably just won't have no fans. So that's been the latest on the NBA. I wouldn't mind to start Christmas. It's still kind of quick, flip turnaround. Probably not fair to the Lakers, but that quick turnaround, just basically 2 months off after, you had a lot of time off when COVID first hit. But I think, like I said, the NBA is going to be wild next year. All the good teams that's starting to form, they're going to be harder for the Lakers either way, even if they had the regular off season. So, but I think they'd be favored though next year. There's been rumors about Giannis. There's been rumors about Chris Paul being traded. So these are two big names to watch out for. Maybe you might see something happen before the draft or on draft night. Like I said, the NBA is going to be interesting, especially the Western Conference, which it always is. With all the good deep teams in the West, pretty much from top to bottom. Every team is like, it's not no team say, oh, this is going to be terrible. The Warriors will be back. And only why they was bad last year because, you know, they had all these injuries. And they got, what's the number 2 pick of the draft? That's been a rumor. That was a rumor this week that they might move that pick. And try to get, who were they targeting? Traded to Philadelphia and get, no, was it Embiid? It was somebody big. Dang, I hate when I blank out like that. But they were talking about moving that pick, you know, and getting somebody. You know, that'd be crazy, you know. So, we'll see. I mean, the things could, you know, a lot could happen between now and then. And if anything happens, you know, we'll talk about it on Saturday here on the blog. Let's go ahead and move on to the NFL then. Let's do our Week 7 picks here. Let's look back at Thursday night though. Nail-biting win for the Philadelphia Eagles. A must-needed win, even though the division probably, like I said, ain't going nowhere. Nobody gonna pull away from this division, the NFC East. Washington played Dallas this week, so that's a big game. Dallas wins, they'd still be in first place, but if not, Philadelphia right back in first place again. Giants had them though. Giants was leading 21-10. I think it was about 6 minutes left. Wentz able to put together 2 touchdown drives. They failed on both 2-point conversions, but the defense stepped up big, stripped Daniel Jones. But 40 seconds left. You know, it was about 40 seconds left when they got the ball back to try to kick a game-winning field goal, but they shut that down quickly, and Philadelphia was able to run out the clock and win the game, 22-21. Wentz over 350 yards passing. Also had a rushing touchdown as well, so played a nice efficient game. Like I said, the Giants, I like the fight the Giants got. You know, they just ain't been learning to win close ball games yet. But I like the fight that the Giants have in them. But I think next year they'll be better. I think this year, you know, I still think it's Philadelphia and Dallas in this division, but because, you know, and then one of them pull away, you know, you can't count out the Giants and Washington yet. Even though I kind of already do, I just think they got too much going on, both teams. Washington with the quarterback change. So I just think those two teams are still a tier under the Eagles and the Cowboys. And if the Cowboys win this week, they'd be 3-3 and be right there in control of this division. Okay, so let's get to the picks now. The big 5 games I have written here, so those games I'll give you more detailed thought on it. The other games I'm just going to try to pick the winner and move on. I'm not going to try to talk about the game that long. So let's see, my phone flipped. Let's see. Alright, here we go. Okay, Lions and the Falcons, that's a game this week. Lions 2-3, Falcons fairly won last week, 1-5. I'll go with Atlanta here. I think they keep the momentum going down home. Well, actually, no. I like Detroit in this game. I'm sorry. I just like Detroit in this game. I don't know why I mean, something about this is a coin flip game for me. Let's just be honest. Like now, I guess I'm thinking Falcons because they're at home. But I'm gonna go ahead and stay with Detroit on that one. I just think they just put together better right now on the football field. Matthew Stafford's playing well, so I'm gonna go with the Lions here. But I wouldn't be shocked if the Falcons win this game. You know, this is a coin flip game for me. Cincinnati Bengals hosting the Cleveland Browns. Browns 4-2, Bengals 1-4-1. Like I said, I'm thinking about the Bengals. The Bengals been playing pretty well despite their record. But I think the Browns, coming off that loss to the Steelers, just looked as terrible. I just think they're the better team right now. I think they get it done. I think they win. And on the road against Cincinnati. He got one of the big 5 games of the week. Probably one of the biggest games of the year so far. The undefeated 5-0 Steelers against the undefeated 5-0 Titans. Titans, a slight favorite, 1.5 points. This was a tough game for me. I'm gonna go with the Steelers just because Ben Roethlisberger been playing well. He used to play the big games. The Titans, despite them being on a roll, even though they had a big game last week, they played well last week as a nail biter, and they still undefeated this year. I just think the Steelers a little bit more experienced. I think Mike Tomlin a little bit more experienced than Mike Vrabel. I think it's gonna be a good game though. I think it's gonna come down to the Steelers contain Derrick Henry and get pressure on Tannehill if they can. I think they can control the game, and they do enough and they win. I just like the overall run. But the Titans, you know, I give them credit. Like I said, they number 2 in my power rankings for a reason. Steelers are 3rd, by the way. The COVID situation, they overcame that. Just every controversy they've had this year, they overcame. Ryan Tannehill playing like an MVP. Derrick Henry as well, monster game for him last week, over 200 yards. So if he's able to do something similar to that, Titans are more than capable of winning this game. I just got a feeling that the Steelers want to make somewhat of a statement. Well, one thing, excuse me, sorry about that. One thing I am worried about the Steelers, you know, they play the Ravens next week. So we'll see if they look ahead to that game and won't take the Titans as seriously. Will that creep in, or will they want to make a statement to the Ravens? Beat the Titans pretty, you know, and then say, all right, well, you know, and the Titans beat the Ravens last year in the playoffs. So a lot of different elements here mentally. But I think if you just take all that stuff out of it, just looking at the two teams, I just think the Steelers are slightly better. Even though Tennessee would probably argue that with A.J. Brown, their receiver, who's starting to come along as well. Even though the Steelers got a crop of receivers with rookie Claypool, and of course still Juju Smith-Schuster still there. James Conner has ran the ball pretty decently as well. So should be actually a football game, but I'm going to go with the Steelers slightly on the road with the win. Panthers Saints. Panthers 3-3, Saints 3-2. Saints though a little banged up this week. Michael Thomas won't play again because his ankle. Last week he was ready, but he got into some trouble, so he was benched and basically suspended last week. But now he re-injured the ankle, so he's not playing again. And then Emmanuel Thomas tested positive for COVID, so he's in that protocol. He's on the COVID list. So he'll be out. So they 2 top receivers out for this game. But I still think the Saints have enough to beat the Panthers. They still 7-point favorites despite that. So I'm going to go with the Saints here. Bills and Jets. Bills all the way here. Jets just a mess right now. Adam Gase, how long will he have his job? That's the only thing everybody talking about. Sam Darnold, I think they say he's ready to play this week. Barring any setbacks. Bills coming off 2 pretty much humbling losses to the Chiefs, and then lost to the Chiefs, and then and the Titans, probably the 2 best teams in the AFC though. You can argue that, but I think Bills got a little bit of a wake-up call. I think they dominate this game. They beat the Jets already this year as well. I think they do it again. Pretty convincingly. Bills 10 points favorite, by the way, in this game. Wow, that's a lot. Cowboys at Washington. Washington 1-5. Cowboys at 2-4. Like I just said, so I had the losses wrong. So they lost. They did lose last week, so I don't know why I got the count off a little bit. Now that the bye weeks are coming in, my count on the games starting to get off. But still, if they win, they still have 3 wins, which will be more than anybody in the division to be in first place. And I think they will. I think Kyle Allen, okay. The only thing that might hurt the Cowboys that I'm worried about is that pass rush. I don't know if the rookie Chris Young is playing, but even without him, the Redskins' strength is their defensive line, and the Dallas' weakness has been the offensive line. So Washington can disrupt this game, they can definitely capable of winning it. But I just will give Cowboys a little bit more credit than that. They've been hearing everything everybody was saying. I think they play a decent game. I think they beat the Washington here. They just 3-point favorites though. Packers and Texans. Texans, of course, up and down year at 1-5. Packers with a brutal loss last week to the Buccaneers. This is an interesting game because Texans have the talent. They can probably slow down Packers a little bit. But their defense to me has been sort of surprisingly not that good. I think Aaron Rodgers bounced back. So I got the Packers here, going on the road and winning. This game is it's probably looking better now, but this game was in jeopardy. This was one of my Big 5 games. Well, it is one of my Big 5 games. The Buccaneers at the Las Vegas Raiders. Of course, this game was supposed to be Sunday night, but it got moved because Raiders got a little bit of an outbreak of COVID. And now they start to come out that they broke some protocols, so they might be seeing some fines and etc. coming up. Before now the game is on, so now that game been moved to Fox for a 4 o'clock game. So Tom Brady definitely played the best game of his career. I mean, best game of the year so far this year. And Buccaneers defense as well. And that's what I'm thinking about, the Buccaneers defense. I think they'll win this game. Even though the Raiders have played pretty well. Beat the Chiefs coming off that win. So they feeling confident coming in here. Derek Carr feeling confident. So will that carry over? We'll see, but I think the Buccaneers slightly will win this game. I just think they're the better team and ride some momentum as well. So I think Tampa comes in and win. Chiefs Broncos. Chiefs just mentioned coming off that loss, but then turned around and beat the Bills. So we'll see where they are. But I think they have enough to beat the Broncos though. Jeff Locke supposed to be back, or is back, I think. But Drew Lock, I'm sorry. So would that make a difference for the Broncos? We'll see. Chiefs 8-point favorites. You know, that's pretty decent score there. But I think the Chiefs will win. The Broncos just don't have enough to keep up scoring with them either. Another Big 5 game of the week. 49ers at the Patriots. Jimmy Garoppolo's homecoming. He's back in New England for the first time since he was traded there. Played pretty well last week. Patriots, since the 2-1 start, have struggled a little bit. Cam Newton didn't play well last week. Dealt with COVID himself. So maybe he'll have a better week this week. I'm going to go with the Patriots here. I think the Patriots are going to bounce back. I think Bill Belichick will know how to control Jimmy Garoppolo. I think that'll help the Patriots as they can. We'll have a big game. I'm going to go with the Patriots here at home. And it's for them to get back in the division because Buffalo, the 2 losses in a row. But Miami, who's off this week, made that decision to start Tua. So we'll see how that works out for the Dolphins. But I think it's a big game for the Patriots. I think they win it to even back up at 3-3. Jaguars, Chargers. I got the Chargers here. Chargers been playing, even though they won it 4. Like I said, they played pretty well. The Jaguars have been terrible since the Week 1 win. So I think the Chargers will win that at home. Seahawks and Cardinals, that's part of my Big 5 this week. This game was moved to the Sunday night slot. Seahawks was in the running, and I can't believe I didn't just talk about this. Antonio Brown was signed by the Buccaneers just last night. I meant to write it down on here because that's the biggest news of the week in the NFL, clearly. And it seems like the rich keep getting richer. Tom Brady, but the thing about it is Seattle must have hesitated too much. They had him in there. They was basically ready. They was ready to sign him, and then all of a sudden Tampa just come out of nowhere and get the deal done. I think part of it because it's in Florida. He's from Florida, so that helps him. I don't think he would have went to Seattle if he had to. But I think he'd rather be in Florida. And then him and Tom Brady supposedly got this good relationship, which I think helps on and off the field. And they got some injuries, so he didn't know he had played. Well, he would have played in Seattle as well. So I mean, that's not probably a big factor, but. That deep receiver core the Buccaneers have now with Evans and Godwin, but both of them guys are limping and hurt. So he can help immediately. He won't play obviously this week. He got to go through protocol first with COVID. But yeah, that was a steal. I couldn't believe that news. Maybe that's why I forgot about it. So the Buccaneers, they win this game. They had the momentum. I think the Saints just start getting worried. I think the Buccaneers might win this division. But they stay on this game. I got Seattle beating the Cardinals. Cardinals been playing pretty well. Kyler Murray been playing well. But I think Seattle, like I said, I got Seattle coming out the NFC overall anyway, despite them missing out on Antonio Brown. DK Metcalf will continue to do his thing. Russell Wilson, MVP right now. I think they go to Arizona and they win the game. Division games are always tight though, so I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a tight game. And Monday night in the final game of the Big Five of the week, the Chicago Bears going to LA to face the Rams. This is a interesting game. You gotta say this is a big game in the NFC. With Green Bay losing, if the Bears somehow even win this game, they have command of the NFC North. Same with the Rams, they'll be watching, hoping, probably rooting for Arizona to bring the Seahawks down back with them. But the Rams, like I said, the Rams have somewhat surprised me this year. They think they would have a decent year, but it's like they looking like the old Rams again from 2 years ago. Aaron Donald still wreaking havoc. Jared Goff has played excellent football. But I'm gonna go with the Rams. I just think the Rams, like I said, a little bit more ready for this, a little bit more prime time than the Bears. Nick Foles though has experience as well. We'll see how he plays. It's a huge game for the Bears and the Rams, and I think the Rams will win at home. So that's all the picks for the week. Week 7, like I said, big surprise with that Antonio Brown signing for the Bucks. That was, like I said, that was sort of shocking to me, but even though it wasn't like a stupid shock. But Tampa was one of those teams that adamantly said they wasn't going to touch Antonio Brown at all. And then the history with him and Bruce Arians, so just didn't think it was going to happen. But Seattle was saying this week that he seemed like a different guy. Russell Wilson was vouching for him a lot. That's why I thought he would wind up signing to Seattle. The Buccaneers just came out of nowhere. That's why I'm saying I think maybe they gave him a little bit more money as well. And like I said, I think they being in Florida helps. He can stay close to home. I think that helps as well. So that's it for this episode of the Sports Blog. I just want to say thank you again for joining me this month. Sorry, a little bit tired. My eyes a little dreary, so I apologize for that. Thursday we'll be back. Let's check that. We'll preview the Falcons and the Panthers as they play Thursday night. So I'll come back here on Thursday, give you a preview of that game, look back on week 7, and look ahead to week 8 as well. So join me then. I'm gonna try to do a Crash Bandicoot video this morning sometime. I'm gonna take a little nap first because obviously I'm tired. And I'm gonna get this video together. Also, I've been doing some Call of Duty videos. Might do another one of those, and Cuphead as well. So just stay tuned for all that. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap this up. I want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. My man Derek, thanks again, bro. He was commenting on last week, so I appreciate it. And everybody else who's been supporting the channel, always big appreciation to everyone. And I'm gonna wrap this up for the week. I'm Troy West saying thank you so much. I'll see you guys next time. Enjoy your week. See you Thursday. And still stay safe out there. Thank you so much.